What's up, everybody? We're back with another NC Niners talk. I'm Nicholas, and this is my papa, Carlos.
What's up?
We got another special guest today, original from season 1 of NC Niners talk. It's been 4 years. Welcome back, my cousin Carlos.
Thank you guys for having me. Right on, right on.
Nice
What's up, man?
Nice to have you back on. Oh, the balloons in the background.
Right on.
Nice to have you back on. Niners versus Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's coming off a loss. Niners coming off the bye. What do you think about the Niners season overall?
Oh man, it's been a lot of ups and downs, to be honest with you. I think the Niners we've been treading water. We've been just staying afloat, and I think especially in our division, as close knit as it is, it's anyone's game right now, and it's anyone's division. So I like the fact that we stayed around 500. We're not out of reach of any of the teams. It's still ours at the end of the day, where we don't have the best division or conference record, but at the end of the day, as long as we can try to win out. We have done it before in the past where we started off slow and then we got hot after our bye. So with CMC coming back, Juwan Jennings coming back, I think there's a lot of things to be hopeful about for sure. So I like where we're at right now. I think Purdy he's been a little shaky to start the season, but he's been solid. He's been solid for sure. I think we've seen the progression in him for sure in terms of being able to make his own decision. He holds on to the ball a little longer now, which is for better or worse sometimes, but I think he's going through his growing pains and he's all right so far. I can't complain too much. He's kept us in a lot of games. Still need to see him overcome a little bit of adversity, but I like where he's at right now.
Yeah.
I think this is the best year, or this is the perfect year that for us not to have a good year, meaning like in the first half, because the division's sucking right now, right? Like you said, we stay there.
Like stay with the tide.
500, close right now. We're about to start getting healthy.
Arizona's 5-4 at the first place NFC West. Rams are 4-4, Niners 4-4, and now the Seahawks are 4-5. So it's anybody's division right now. And by the way, the Niners...
This is how we finish this season. It's going to make a difference, especially with our division games remaining. It's not going to be easy, a bunch of the games coming up, but...
Yep, it's going to be a tough stretch, and that's going to start in Tampa Bay this week.
Sure. I think it's just, there's perfect timing and everything, and like he said, now that McCaffrey's coming back, but just a little bit summer of the season. A lot of up and downs. Our defense has been shaky at times.
This has been inconsistent, especially, Purdy sometimes, he plays like Purdy, and then other times it's like, I don't know what that was, but...
He plays like Daniel Jones sometimes.
Exactly, he goes from Daniel Jones to a top quarterback in the league. The inconsistency this year, he's been very shaky, but just like last year, they turned up in the second half of the season, so... It's just a different team this year. That's the thing.
The last few weeks, the defense has been doing a much better job in rushing. However,
especially the DBs though.
They're allowing too many points at the end though.
Yeah.
Which I think they're averaging like 28 points. I think allowing almost 28 points per game.
They're allowing 22 a game and they're scoring 28 a game.
Yeah, we're I think we're middle of the pack when it comes to our scoring defense, which. I think you could blame a lot of the changes, on the defense. You could blame
injury
and definitely injuries. I think the difference in defensive coordinator and changing schemes has been a big.
You change the scheme, right?
Yeah, it's hard to change schemes and lose a bunch of key players.
And then you change the coordinator every year. The last 3-4 years has been different.
Yeah, our defense has been really up and down. If you look at our pass defense, we're middle of the pack. Our rush defense, numbers-wise, is pretty good. I think that's probably the heart of our defense for sure. Yeah. But even the run defense, I was looking at the numbers earlier, and the team only has 18 sacks for the whole year. And so when you compare that to a lot of the other teams, there's some middle-of-the-pack teams that probably aren't even going to make the playoffs with more sacks than that. So we're 22nd in red zone defense. We're 26th in third down conversion defense.
That's what's been hurting us a lot.
That's when we get killed. It's the big moments.
This is like third down. Third and 6. Let's get them off, and they're not getting off the field. Yep.
So it gets to a point where it's demoralizing. At the end of the day, we're lucky to have. I think we have a it's for sure a top 5 ranked offense for sure, and especially now with Jennings and CMC coming back, we're going to be probably top 3. So we have the luxury of being able to count on our offense, but how long is that going to last, especially as the postseason comes on and we have some of these teams that can really keep up with us? You think about
look at the Bengals
in the NFC Championship last year. They're putting up points. They look like the team to beat right now. So
they're definitely the team to beat this year. The Lions.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, it is. I mean, yeah, we talk about Niners and stuff, but come on, I think they're way above everybody right now. That's where we were last year. That's where we were the last few years. We're just above everybody else.
That's the Lions.
And then that's the Lions. And look, they just got even better on defense. They got, what's his name?
Darius Smith from the Browns for like a bag of chips. So, they improved. And the Niners made a trade deadline move. Khalil Davis, a defensive tackle. From the Texans, I mean, they improved. I mean, an improvement is improvement. It wasn't a big splash.
We need more pressure at the D-line. So, I mean, it's something,
Hey, something is something. And they're going to need that against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week. It's a game in Tampa Bay. Niners are going to wear the red home jerseys as well.
10 a.m. early game.
Yes, sir. And Baker doesn't have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. So who has he been relying on? Cade On, their tight end, who just came off a 80-yard game against the Chiefs. And Baker had, I mean, very solid game against the Chiefs.
It's not like I hate on him, but I really don't think much about this guy. But he played really good against Kansas City. Like
with no weapons.
Like with no weapons, he played really well. I was like very impressed, I have to say. But it's not gonna happen again.
It's funny you guys mentioned Baker. When you look at his numbers, obviously he did have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin all year, where if you look at their numbers, Chris Godwin was putting up receiver of the year numbers before he got injured. But even without their receivers, Nicholas mentioned Cade Otton. The guy's been going off for at least 10 targets and 8+ catches every week since those guys have been out. They have Rachaad White, who is a great receiving back. They have a 3-headed monster, to be honest with you, as a rushing offense. They have Bucky Irving. They have Rachaad White. They even have, what's the guy's name? Sean Tucker, I think, in the backfield. So as a third string. So any of those guys at any moment can pop off. But Baker Mayfield himself, he's top 5 in every single one of the quarterback categories.
He's number 1 in passing touchdowns.
Tonight with Lamar Jackson, but he got an extra game.
Well, after tonight, I don't know. Joe Burrow might have something to say, but
Burrow. Look, okay, perfect example. You can have a high-powered offense, but without that defense, the Bengals are 4-6, and they just. Jamar Chase had 260-something yards tonight. And
Well, it's just like Jennings. When Jennings had 200+ yards, we couldn't stop the Rams.
The Rams with no Cooper Kupp and Nakua.
And we couldn't stop them. Disappointing. But
they're back.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting healthy at the right time. The Cardinals are starting to kind of, pick their game up. So it's time for us to definitely start rolling. It's going to be a tight division race, I think, throughout the rest of the year. But it's exciting. I mean, this is what football's about, so I'm here for it.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to see the division very close and nobody's pulling away right now. Hopefully the Niners do pull away, and Baker Mayfield is going to have to face Nick Bosa. I mean, we know in college when Baker Mayfield planted the flag on Nick Bosa in college, and I mean, that's been a little story for their whole career now.
I think he still thinks about that, so literal. So it was in the back of his head for sure.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Carlos? What do you think key factors for this game?
I think key factors, for the Niners, I think on the defensive side, we have to make sure that we take advantage of some of those attempts and potential mistakes that Baker's going to make. I think we all seen and know now that Baker Mayfield, he slings it. I mean, as we were just talking about, he's top 5 in quarterback for a reason. So the guy's going to sling it, and I think our defense is definitely going to have those opportunities, especially with the fact that he does not have Godwin and Mike Evans no more. He has younger guys who are a little bit more inexperienced, who may or may not make the same, route decisions and may not make the same cuts. So I think we're going to have some opportunities. It's up to our defense to capitalize on those opportunities. I think if we can win the turnover ratio, then I think we have a great shot at winning this game. I think We really got to make sure that our safeties and our linebackers, who I think are our weakness on our defense, unfortunately, just because they're a little bit young, I think those guys really got to make sure, because in my opinion, that's where Baker's going to attack us. He's going to. I think everyone knows now that the Niners front seven, front eight is where the strength is. So he's going to aim for the safeties all night. So I think the X factor on the defensive side is going to be just that we take advantage. And then on the defensive line, you guys mentioned Nick Bosa, making sure that we put some pressure on Baker, to be honest with you. I mean,
I like that.
The Bucs O-line has been great all year. I mean, there's a reason that, like I said, Baker's top 5 in quarterback. There's a reason the rushing's really great. That always is credit to our offensive line. So it's going to be up to our defensive line for sure to put some pressure on him. We can get a couple sacks, like I mentioned. We only have 18 sacks as a team, so this would be a great game for us to really start getting turned up. Nick Bosa, he's been a little bit up and down, as we all know. The talent is definitely there. He seems to be getting there, but for whatever reason, we're just always kind of missing a tackle here and there sometimes. So I think this is a great game for him to really step up, get it right. The motivation is definitely there with Baker Mayfield. The fact that we're in Tampa Bay, I think, is definitely a little bit of added motivation. So I think for us on the defensive side, that's going to be our main X factor. I could talk about the offense, but I think for the most part, it's going to be our defense. It's going to be our defense versus our offense, and really making sure we capitalize on any of the mistakes that they make. And I think looking at the Chiefs game is going to be a great way to really start prepping for them, but at the same time, they're going to be looking at our Chiefs game as well, and seeing how to capitalize on us. So
Exactly. And the Buccaneers defense, I mean, Mahomes had his best game of the season against the Buccaneers in the last game, so maybe Purdy's going to have the best game of the year during this game, and especially with his weapons back, like you said, with the Buccaneers three-headed monster. Now the Niners have a three-headed monster of their own. They got Christian McCaffrey coming back. You're going to have Jordan Mason and Isaac Guerrero. And obviously, I mean, Debo is going to get the ball,
Jennings,
sweeps and stuff.
What's his name?
Ricky
Kittle.
Oh, my bad. I forgot about Kittle.
He's the number one tight end all year.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Number one tight end in the league. And they just need to use him. Look what he's doing.
Continue to use him.
Continue to, especially in the red zone.
Absolutely. There's no reason we should have been using them before.
Exactly. And in order to get him going, I mean, usually to get Kittle going is on the play action.
Mm-hmm.
You got to run the ball to get the play action going.
I think they're going to run the ball. I mean, they got no. I mean, Kyle Shanahan he is less stubborn with this run, though.
Yeah.
He's very stubborn, which is good at times. And sometimes it's like, okay, I mean, get off of that. But it's pretty good. I think what Carlo was saying, capitalizing on their mistakes. And we have to turn those mistakes into touchdowns, especially on the road.
Yeah, because
you don't want to settle the field goals on the road and let this team get some type of momentum, get it going, get them out of the park. I mean, get them out early.
Yep.
We can't commit the same turnovers they do.
No.
Exactly.
From Brock Purdy. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Brock Purdy, or the Niners, I should say, were 1-4 when Brock turns the ball over.
Yeah, they don't have a. I think we discussed this last show or a couple shows ago that it seems like when Purdy throws just one, it just becomes like
it ruins the game plan. It's like
he's done.
Yeah. And I mean that comes with a young quarterback. He is
freaking young. Yeah, he is young.
He's very young, and I mean
the expectation. You know what it is though?
The expectation.
He went so high that we just expect that already.
Yeah.
So when he doesn't have that type of 10 out of 10 game, we think when he has a average game, we're like, oh, he sucks. He's not even good. Look at him. But wait, do you realize what he just did the last 2-3 years?
Exactly.
Like I was telling Nicholas. If you this kid from Washington, he's getting all this hype. I'm not saying he's not good, but he's getting all this hype because he's like a top pick. If Purdy was a top pick, and a lot of people say this, if he was a top pick, he would be in the same category.
Exactly, and we're not discrediting what Jaden Daniels is doing because he's doing great things
for
the Commanders. But it's just the recognition, he's the number 2 overall pick, and Purdy was the last pick, so they're going to look at the number 2 overall pick and okay, he's not a bust, but obviously they're not going to really think too much of the last pick. And
Well,
we've been talking about this for like 3 years now,
and they kind of
getting old.
And they kind of blame him, not blame him, but they give him like the excuse that he has all these weapons. But we've been saying it too. All these teams have weapons, no matter how small or big, but they all have weapons, and it's just about how you use those weapons. So,
and Kyle Shanahan needs to get in his bag for this game. And last year when they played the Jaguars out of the bye, it was a 34-3 game on the road.
yes.
So if they could replicate that game, like just a little bit, it doesn't have to be 34-3. That was a beat down. But if they could do that, like replicate a little bit, they can go on a serious run in the playoffs and this whole season.
Yeah, I think they need to come off strong in this game. They're on the road. Well, from what I hear, there's going to be more Niner fans anyways.
59%.
Yeah, I was going to say get the crowd down, but get the crowd up. Score first, score often, get a lot of 3-and-outs. Actually, what's his name? Baker did really well last week on third down, and that's our being our Achilles heel. So we got to make sure we get him out on third. And he could run too. Yeah. He's kind of slippery, you know.
But when he does that, that means linebackers have to show up and.
Fred Warner.
Yeah, like you said, the X factors for the defense. You know, the defensive line. You know, the front 7, front 8. They need to show up. And Fred Warner has been an all-world linebacker this year.
He's been crazy this year.
But that's the thing is the linebackers are one of like the weakness because of Devondre Campbell. And
yeah, Fred Warner can't do it all by himself.
Yep. What about your X factor on the offensive side, like?
I think our X factor on the offensive side, I said, Brock Purdy not turning the ball over, but if we're not counting the quarterback, that's too easy of a decision. I would say George Kittle. I think you got to keep him involved. I think we've seen up until this point just how effective George Kittle can be. He produces, he's efficient, he's one of the top yards after catch receivers for a reason. And against a defense like Tampa Bay that is very exploitable, we can absolutely use George Kittle. I think they're going to be worried about Debo. They're going to be worried about McCaffrey, potentially maybe even over worried about McCaffrey, to where that does open up the play action. And then that does open up those open, little slants or cross plays for Kittle where, he catches it after a 10-yard catch and boom, he's gone, So I think on the offensive side, again, aside from Brock Purdy just making sure he holds on to the ball, George Kittle, in my opinion, I think is the X factor. I think, like I said, it's in the past few years, we've always known he's been capable of that. He's always been in discussion for a top 5, top 3 tight end, but has never really had the numbers to really stamp his number one, mark as a overall tight end. Obviously, his intangibles like blocking, and whatnot, make him one of the top tight ends. But I think this year his numbers are finally speaking for it, and it's about time, that we use him that way. And I think we need to continue using him that way. I think now that, like I said, our offense is coming back to what it's normally, accustomed to.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, that doesn't mean we should just go right back to what we're used to. Because teams are already kind of aware of that now. I think we need to keep using them, and like I said, keep utilizing that play action. So.
Exactly. And like you said with McCaffrey, people are going to think, oh, Jordan Mason and all these guys, they can plug in and, be as good as McCaffrey, and it's like, oh, any running back can be good. Yes, a lot of running backs can be good in the system, but the presence of Christian McCaffrey, that opens up a lot for other players like Juwan Jennings in this game, Debo, Ricky Purcell, Kittle. His presence alone could just open up the whole offense, and that will help Purdy for sure, having that presence in the backfield. And just check downs, being able to have a receiving back, because Jordan Mason isn't, the best receiving back, but he's been making plays, but McCaffrey's he's just a different animal.
McCaffrey's a triple option. Yeah, it's a different animal. He gives a whole different playbook.
He could pass, he could throw, he could pass, he could receive, and he can run. Like he can do it all.
I think the X factor for the offense is the running game, which will open up Kittle and the wide receivers. You know what? I have a feeling he's going to feed all 3 of the running backs.
Yeah.
I don't see him feeding McCaffrey like
15 times.
Like
no.
5 times. Honestly,
we're gonna use him in. Yeah.
No.
That's why you have Jordan Mason now.
Yeah, I think he's gonna feed all 3 of them, and they're all gonna get I think uh, more than 30 yards per running back, and then be like, holy crap! So how in the hell are we gonna stop all three of them? And that's when it's gonna open up the play action, the cross, and just keep fitting Kittle. I mean, we've been saying that. We've been saying it for a bit. Like especially in the red zone, feed your best dude.
That's why he's the best red zone receiver, not just tight end,
Receiver,
but receiver in the NFL this year. And he just
feed your playmakers.
He's been dominant this year, and like you said, the stats are backing it up this year. He's at like almost at 1,000 yards. He's like 300 yards away already. Week 10, I mean, these numbers speak for itself as the best tight end in the league for sure.
In terms of our team, it's a pretty wide gap between him and the next receiver in terms of targets, catches, yards. So, yeah, I mean, the Niners are focusing on getting him the ball, and I think now that we have all our weapons back, it's just going to make it easier for him.
And it should, and they should keep feeding him. And
just because you get these guys back, don't mean you stop feeding kids.
Kyle needs to like continue making designs to get him open, designs to get him the ball, one way or the other. Even if it's a little screen, little pitch, whatever it may be. But it should be like that.
What about your score prediction for the game?
I've been going back and forth on that. It's going to be a close game, I think, and I think it as much of a defensive game as I would like it to be. I think Baker and the Bucs have already proven that even without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they can score and they can keep up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they almost got past the Chiefs, So I think it's a close game. I think both offenses click, and I think they both go back to back a little bit. But I think our defense does edge out either game-winning interception or fumble. At some point in the fourth quarter, it'll be a kind of game-changing momentum. And I think the game probably ends around either, I'm going to say 31-26.
31-26 Niners. What about you?
I feel Niners defense is going to step up in this game and shut him down. We've done pretty well against him the last few times we played him. And I think it continues. Although he's been playing good, I think Bosa has his number. I think Bosa is going to be in his head all day.
In his head and in that backfield.
Yeah, and that's what's going to cause a turnover, a fumble or interception, because he's good for one of those, like you said. Niners, I think they'll go back to 28. Be 28-15. 28-16. Yeah, 28-15. Yeah, 28-15.
28-15?
Yeah. It's like a late touchdown too.
Late touchdown?
Yeah. For the Bucs.
I think it'll be a solid game heading into the halftime. And I think it's gonna be, maybe like a 4-point game, maybe tie game, and then Niners pull away at the end. I got a 27-17 Niners victory against Tampa Bay, and I think Purdy he's gonna have a solid game, and he's gonna show that this inconsistency this season is gonna be no longer, and he's gonna play like that Purdy we saw last year, because Purdy was balling last year for sure, and he's been making plays this year. It's just the inconsistency, type of plays and type of games that he's been having is just a little off, but.
I don't know, man. It could be like, I mean,
Hey.
I see him having a good game.
I see him.
I don't. I mean, it's not like I see him. He needs to have a good game.
Yeah, especially with his weapons back.
I was gonna say, there's no way he doesn't feel much more comfortable with McCaffrey finally back out there, with Debo obviously feeling a lot more healthy, with Juwan Jennings there. There's no way he doesn't feel a little bit more comfortable. I mean, Juwan Jennings, as you guys saw, when we needed him, dude went off for 11 catches, 140 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Mr. Third Down.
Even in the Super Bowl,
in the Super Bowl, that guy was like my favorite player, dude. The only guy that did his job, in my opinion.
Exactly. He showed out, like, for sure. And the unsung hero in this game is gonna to me, is gonna be Ricky Purcell, because I think with having him in the slot, and it's just easy catches I've been seeing of him and Brock Purdy have a little connection, and it's just like, easy catches, and then it's just like
timing routes.
They kind of just stack it up a little bit, kind of like a Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp type of thing.
Yeah, why not?
And I think I see Ricky Pearsall a touchdown also.
Hey,
but Niners W.
And well, I'll say this, if there's any time for Ricky Pearsall to show up, it's now. They've had a full bye week now. He's had a couple weeks to integrate himself into the system. Ayuk has obviously been out for a while, so
This is the time.
hey, brother, now's the time to step up. So
Exactly. So Carlos got 31-26. You got 28-15. I got 27-17. Niners come out with the victory in Tampa Bay, coming off the bye week, and they're gonna get over that 500 mark.
Go 5-4.
And hopefully, we can have you on the show again. And by that time, maybe, hey, they're probably like 9-4, maybe they 10-4. You never know.
let me know, man. Let me
Yeah.
know. I'm happy to talk about it, and I hope it's a great game for sure.
Yeah.
Always fun, man. Always fun to have you.
You definitely have to have you back. It's been like 4 years since the Niners. Man, when was they even? That was
We did a Dallas game, I think. Didn't we do the Dallas game?
yeah. That was
That was
the year of COVID.
it was a
That was
while
the-
ago. I don't.
It
Yeah.
was over year versus Dallas.
the COVID year and rough
Oh
year.
yeah, I was living in a completely different spot. So
Yeah, it was a rough year that year, and hey, glad to see this team where they are now. But hey, thank you coming on for the show to the show, and
right on. Thank you guys for having me.
for sure.
Definitely, man.
Yeah,
But-
absolutely. I was excited.
Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's go Niners, baby. Peace.
Yes, sir.
First.